Good afternoon. I'm Katelyn Mattson, and this is the Green Room. Brian Marcum is the new artistic director of Music Theater Wichita, and he has joined me in the Green Room. Hello, Brian.
Hi, Caitlin. How are you?
I'm great. I'm thrilled that you're here. This is the first opportunity I've had to speak with you since your arrival in Wichita. You have not been here all that long, although you are no stranger to the area. Your history with Wichita started with the MTW, is that correct?
That is correct. In the mid '90s, when I was a wee child in college, I was brought up to Kansas from Oklahoma City, where I was going to school, to be in the resident ensemble by Wayne Bryan, who kind of taught me everything I know about musical theater and made me fall in love with it, and also with music theater. At the time, it was Music Theater of Wichita, and now we are just Music Theater Wichita.
Drop that of people.
Yes,
It
yes.
take it takes some discipline. I'm there. I say Music Theater Wichita. I'm right there with you. But I remember when we had that conversation first, there was like, you can't say the of. Don't say the of. We understand. So you have a live holiday special. And is this the first time MTW has had a live in-person holiday show?
It is. And when I took over this position, I had said to the managing director, Angela Cassette, I said, I would love to do a holiday show because I love them. I met my wife doing the Radio City show, the Radio City Christmas show. And so I have an affinity for the music and that time of year. And it's kind of thought of as a downtime for us because we normally produce only in the summer. And so we decided to do one. But, you know, when I moved here in 2020, it was in the height of the pandemic, so we couldn't. So we did a television show for KPTS, which was great. But this is the first time that we'll be able to do one live and in person in the concert hall at Century 2.
So the version that we watched on KPTS on public television, that actually was nominated for an Emmy.
It was exciting. It was fun because I got to write it and direct it and choreograph it. And then we shot it for 9 days in a house in Andover, and part of it also at the Botanica on the carousel, which was cool. And in front of the big holiday Christmas tree that they have as well. And so it was it came at the right time during the pandemic because we were able to come together, and it was like a little oasis because we hadn't been around our people necessarily for so
Yes.
long. So it was nice for those 9 days. And then we had a great production company, Digital Brand, who helped put it together. And then it was nominated for an Emmy, which was the kind of like the icing that I didn't even know could happen.
I'm
So
sure hearing you talk about it, I empathetically feel what you're feeling when you say we get to be with our people during this time where we have all been completely isolated for however many months, and you were all able to come together and do that, almost like summer camp. You're just there with all your best friends putting on a show.
yes.
The bonus being that it was then recognized for its high quality. So are we going to see familiar faces? Maybe people who were in that particular special?
You will, yes. There are some local favorites. Enjoy Fountain, who was in that holiday show, is also in this show. Tim and Karen Robb are also in the show. Ari Simon, who was not in that show, but who is a local performer who has moved to New York, is coming back from New York to be in the show here. Monty Wheeler, Wayne Bryan is coming
Mm.
back. We're very excited to have him back. He was supposed to be in The Drowsy Chaperone this summer, but because of a health issue, he wasn't able to be in the show. So he's coming back. So it's very exciting. We have a full resident ensemble of kids from around the country, some from New York, some from Austin, some from Oklahoma City, who are coming into the show. I'm in the show. My wife, Jennifer, who was just Glinda in Wizard of Oz this past summer here at MTW, is in the show. We have lots of teens and lots of children in the show. There's a gospel choir, the Arise Gospel Ensemble is in the show, as well as the headliners, the show choir from Butler Community College. So it's a huge undertaking, and we actually start rehearsal today. We actually started at 12, and I had to skip out to come talk to you.
Oh, well, gosh, we're honored. We won't keep you too much longer. Uh, so when is it? When's the show?
The show is December 9th, 10th, and 11th. There's a show at 8, 2 and 8 on Saturday, and then a matinee on Sunday at 2.
Tickets can be purchased at mtwichita.org by visiting or calling the Century 2 box office. We'll be back in just a moment to talk more with Brian Marcum from MTW, and we'll learn a little bit more about him, as he takes on this new role as artistic director of Music Theater Wichita. We'll be right back. a little bit of holiday music to get us in the spirit of the season. Music Theater Wichita will also help us get in the spirit of the season with their live holiday performance, which opens on Friday, December the 9th, their live holiday special. And I have their new artistic director, Brian Marcum, here speaking with me all about that and about the company in general. Brian, fairly new to the Wichita area. So even though you spent time here when you were younger, as you know, singing with the company, and now that you moved here and live here, what are your impressions of Wichita?
I love it. And, I moved here with my family and I have 2 kids. And so it is a great town that has so many things to offer. Excuse me. And, excuse me. This company, is great, and it's really well known nationally. And I knew I wanted it was a job when it was offered to me that I couldn't pass up. And then we had lived in Oklahoma for a while, and then moved back and I was teaching at Syracuse University in Syracuse, New York. Right before I took this job. And so it was nice to come back to the Midwest and to kind of a family that we knew already. But the city has changed so much since the mid-90s when I was here. So it's nice. Of course, when we moved here in the middle of the pandemic, there were so many things that I was like, oh, that looks like a cool place to go. That's a great place. Can't wait to go there at some point. And finally, now we're able to go see those things and be more part of the community. But my kids love the schools because they're so great, and there's so many things to do, and there's so many artsy people and arts organizations in town. They're just wonderful. So it's a gym that I think the people don't realize. When we bring people into work here and they see all the great things and see the audiences we have and the appreciation for musical theater specifically, but the arts in general, they're so overwhelmed and taken aback, I think, because they don't think about that when they think of Kansas.
Absolutely. That is a common theme that
Right.
I hear from just about all of our arts presenters, whether it's the symphony or the grand opera or chamber music or Music Theater Wichita. Not only, an astonishment at the cultural offerings of this town in the middle of Kansas, which just, isn't top of your mind awareness, but also people leaving and going back home and going, oh my gosh, this was such a high quality, unpretentious, loving, welcoming experience for me.
Yes. Yeah. So true. When I go to New York, and even when I was, in college in the ensemble, it was the place that everyone wanted to come and work because, Wayne Bryan, who I took over for, cultivated such a warm, loving, artistic, creative place that so many people wanted to be here. And you can't really go see a show on Broadway, off Broadway, a tour without seeing someone who's been through here.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a bit about taking over for the Titan Wayne Bryant. And obviously, you personally have had a close relationship with him, friendship with him for, years now. And the decision to, come back and work with him with the transition, the changing of power, the changing of hands, and Wayne Bryant is still heavily involved. He has a new title. What is it? What is his new title with the theater?
Well, in the transition, we went through in 2020 when I took over. We went through like co-artistic directors, and then he became the producing director, and now he's in an advisory position. And in December, he will fully retire. But I told him, I was like, you can't go far away because I will call you, and I need you to answer that phone because he is such a mentor to me, and he taught me early on so much about musical theater, as with like a lot of people in this business can point the beginnings of their career to him. And So when I was able to come back and work with him over the years as a director, as a choreographer, while he would direct a show, it was just so fun to collaborate with him. And then when I moved here, we were able to work on a few shows together in that way too. And then, he's always been very supportive of me when I wrote that holiday show, the TV show, or, even this show. We're so excited that he's coming back. And but he does leave some big shoes well, there's no way I can fill them, but to kind of emulate and to look to. And he is one of the nicest people I've ever met, and so giving and so creative and loving. And he created a great space here, and it's so fun to be able to come here and work and to feel supported.
Mm. The live holiday special opens Friday, December the 9th. There are a total of 4 performances, pardon me, Friday evening, and 2 performances on Saturday. I'll just let you talk about it. Tell us again, what are the dates and the times so I don't mess it up?
It's December 9th. The show is at 8, and then we have a 2 and an 8 on the 10th, on the Saturday. And then we'll have a matinee on the 11th, the Sunday, at 2 o'clock.
A stage full of amazing talents, including the Arise Gospel Ensemble and also the Butler Community College headliners. And you were talking a bit about some Wichita favorites, performers like Enjoy Fountain, who we all adore. So it should seem like just a really wonderful, wonderful occasion for people to get out and get in the holiday spirit and, enjoy their community of artists.
Yes, it is a fun-filled show with everything from reindeers and elves and party goers and gospel choirs, and we even do a nativity at the end, and it will be a fun family experience, and we hope everyone will come out and see it.
Now, we have just about 1 more minute left, so I'm going to ask you something about you as a performer. And reading your bio, you've done some really fun things. One of the things is performing at the Tony Awards.
Sure, yeah, I was on the Tony Awards twice. With a show called The Boy from Oz. Once we did the opening with Hugh Jackman, which was exciting. And
him.
I worked with him for 2 years on that show, and he was just spectacular. And you can see him now in The Music Man on Broadway. And then I also did the opening of the show when I was in 42nd Street, which we just did here last summer. We did the opening of the Tonys, and it was the most exhilarating moment of my life, like running down through the house of Radio City Music Hall onto that stage and turning around and tap dancing, and you could barely hear the music because of the roar of the 5,000 people in that hall just applauding and screaming. And it was so exciting and fun, and just really one of those moments you'll never forget.
A core memory.
Yes, a core memory.
Yeah. I mean, you just made it one of mine, just hearing you talk about it. I got chills listening to that.
Yes, it was exciting. It was a great life. Yeah, living there.
Well, congratulations on everything, and welcome back to Wichita. And thank you for taking the time to talk to us today about your upcoming live holiday special. We have to let Brian get back to rehearsal. He is missing rehearsal currently, so he could speak with us here at Radio Kansas. Have a wonderful production.
Thank you so much, Katelyn.